If you have these weirdos, like my precious baby African cichlids, hello babies, then you understand the struggle of African cichlid aggression. So get ready for 5 tips on how you can reduce that aggression, even including an ingenious tip at the end. So stick around. Here we go. If your African cichlids are being real jerks, there's an easy way to put a freeze on it.
I mean, don't pull a Han Solo or anything.
Drives the spaceship, sits next to the hairy guy.
But take a look at your tank temp and consider turning it down a notch or two. Africans like it from around 76 to a balmy 82 degrees Fahrenheit. The warmer the water, the more likely they are to become unlikable. But we have the power in our hands to rock their world. Slowly drop it down a few degrees if it keeps you within the safe range and see what happens. It's been a few days and no change? Try 2 more. That'll teach them. Seriously though, it's not a punishment. My African boys recently did a rough interpretation of the movie The Purge, so I had to take action. I tried all kinds of things mentioned in my other videos, but the results were all weak. So I finally turned the temp down from 80 to 81 to 78 to 79. Since then, things have been great. Just a small harmless chase here and there. I also removed a few fish around the same time though, so not sure which one did the trick. Maybe it was both, who knows, but I did turn down the temp and the aggression settled down. I think it may have had something to do with it.
Someone's trying to kill me!
He's already dead.
Someplace to hide from the pursuit of pure diabolical evil. When your African cichlids become demon-possessed, the others might need some place to go. Embrace what has been dubbed the sick bay. I've seen this in a few different places, but Park Bench Aquatics was the one who recently brought it to my attention. Check this out. Just have a pipe or two at the top of the tank where your nice guys can hang out and wait for the storm to pass. The one drawback would be the aesthetic of the pipes, but maybe that doesn't bother you, or perhaps you can doctor them up. Hey, see what I did there? Sick bay, doctor? Never mind. Make them look cool. You could also use aquarium-safe paint and make them black. Or get black ones. Whatever you choose, these might not curb the aggression, but they can sure help keep your nicer guys from being terrorized to death. That's a win in my book. Thanks again to Park Bench for sharing the idea in the video. Nice work, man.
If everyone's trying to tell you you're about to make a big mistake, maybe you should listen.
Take a few minutes and read some Reddit. Watch some videos, do your research, and learn about which cichlids tend to be on the more aggressive side. Are these going to be 100% accurate? No. But they'll give you a pretty good idea if you might be fixing to do something you're going to regret.
You stupid idiot!
For instance, I researched Jake peacocks and found they tend to be more likely to be assholes than many other guys. Since I obviously had to learn from my own experiences, I had a Eureka Red Jake for just over a year. Beautiful fish, but not a friendly by any means. He was the devil. Anyway, nothing worked with this guy, and it's not worth it for me to try another. You know what would be worth trying though? Giving that like button a smash if you've made it this far in the video. And subscribe if you feel so inclined. Much appreciated. Okay, back to it. You can get a good fish that comes with a bad reputation, like a man of the cloth Eureka Red Jake that defies the odds. But you have to decide if the risk is acceptable for you. Or you can just keep clear of the likely suspects. That's what I'm doing. For now anyway.
Okay, everyone probably knows this one, but if you have African cichlids and you keep males and females together, you're either insane or you're one short trip away from getting there.
If you're trying to breed them, then that's a different story. Assuming you're not breeding, then it's very important to remove any females from your tank as soon as you realize that they are females. Males go crazy and want every other male out of the tank or dead. They would prefer dead.
He doesn't bite, he's dead.
It can be difficult to recognize if you have a male or female in juvies. It really helps if you order guaranteed males and order them from a reputable dealer. In 2020, it was nearly impossible to find breeders selling African cichlids, male African cichlids, so I took a chance on a questionable breeder since it was my only option other than waiting. I should have waited.
Patience. Patience.
I wound up with at least half of the males I ordered turning out to be females. At first, the company made good on their guarantee to replace the fish if they turned out to be females. After they realized how expensive it was going to be and how many females there were, they went completely dark and wouldn't respond to any of my attempts to contact them. Anyway, if you have a questionable male, you think it might actually be female, then there are some signs to look for. This isn't always the case, but females usually have no real color, just drab, silver, or tan color. The dorsal fin in the males will be pointed, whereas the females will be rounded. Egg spots, little circular shapes on the anal fin, can appear on both males and females, but they are more common in males. The best way to identify a male from a female is to vent them. That means looking at the underbelly of the fish to see the anus and the urogenital opening. There are two holes located right next to each other. In a male, both openings will be the same size. In a female, the hole closest to the tail will usually be larger than the anus, but the fish have to mature enough, usually at 3 inches or so, before this is accurate. Venting is stressful for the fish since it means catching them and handling them. I will eventually have a video on it, but right now there are plenty of videos on YouTube that can show you how to do this. But only do it if you really need to, due to the stress it causes the fish.
Perhaps a little current will put a damper on their mischievous intentions.
It's much more difficult to be concerned about everybody else when you're getting whipped around by the wind, or the current in this case. Fast-moving water will help keep everyone's mind off each other as they focus more on their swimming. I'm not talking about river rapids type current here, but enough that it's a distraction.
That's still way too fast.
As you know from my videos, I keep a wavemaker on the top intake side of my tank. Any filter outputs also point the same way. That pushes the top of the water column all to the other side, where it then hits the glass and moves toward the bottom of the tank, where it hits my other wavemaker pointing back the other way. This creates a loop of fast-moving water in the tank. Now, I usually just run the top wavemaker from morning until it's dark, and the bottom one runs a few hours about 4 times a day. I like them to be able to rest when it's dark and they can't see each other as well. But if things get nasty,
Sounds like trouble a brewing at the old well.
and I think they need a bit more, I can run the bottom wavemaker all day too. I can even leave the top one on all night if necessary. I don't like doing that, but if a distraction is needed 24/7, then that's what they'll get. If you have African cichlids, I think a wavemaker or two is a must. Check out the links in the video description for the wavemakers I use. How strong is the current in your tank? And what do you use to get it? Let everyone know in the comments. Here's your bonus. Know when the aggression is a problem and when it isn't. There's a difference between an African cichlid wanting a fish dead and an African cichlid just asserting his dominance periodically. The video I'm showing you right now I made last night of my strawberry dragon blood. He occasionally transforms into a real jerk, but it usually doesn't last more than a few hours. See how he's darting around and then returning to his corner? That's his corner. That's a good sign. He isn't following a fish all the way across the tank relentlessly. He also hasn't done any damage to anyone. If it isn't a continual event with your guy, say he's just chasing everybody for one evening, but then he goes back to normal, or if his chases are quick ones, not meant to injure but to get the others out of wherever he's trying to protect, then it's something to keep an eye on, but it doesn't mean you have to take action. I mean, you can take action and try one of the methods I've mentioned before on how to help a specific fish stop being so aggressive, but you don't have to at this point. For instance, sometimes a fish will do this thing my strawberry's doing way too often for my taste. I have an 8-foot long tank and I don't want all my fish on one side of it and a single fish on the other side. So if this keeps up, then I will probably wind up rehoming Mr. Strawberry. No one's in danger, but I think it's less stressful for the fish if they have more room to roam. Plus, it just looks better if all my boys aren't huddled up on one side. If your fish is doing some damage and relentlessly chasing other fish, even singling out a specific fish, then it's time to get him out of the tank. Do you have any other tips that I missed or any stories you'd like to share? Leave a comment so we can all learn from your experiences.